welcome to the Techegy Games of the Month for October. Coming to you live, well, not live because we're recording this, but we're coming to you from Pennsylvania, Ohio, and somewhere in Georgia. No North Carolina this time around. So with that, JC, what have you been playing this month?
Yeah, put me on the spot first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so first thing I'm going to talk about, and actually, I'm going to go with whatever I've just played since we last did one. So I think our last episode was August. So we accidentally skipped September. We were busy, but so the first one I'm going to talk about is Blasphemous 2, available on, I think, pretty much everything.
I think that
Blasphemous
happened to me after Taco Bell.
That's going to be happening to you here soon. I think your sun's close to bursting, so we got to hurry this one up. But Blasphemous 2 is a side scroller kind of Metroidvania game developed by the Game Kitchen, published by Team 17, and it's a sequel to the original Blasphemous that came out in 2019. It is actually it's the artwork is very cool. It's very dark. It's very gory, and it's kind of based on Spanish Catholic culture, specifically from like the Spanish Revolution, so from like the 1800s to like the mid 1900s time period. Now, that's not like a religious game or anything like that, but it's clearly influenced by Spanish Catholic stuff. Awesome game. It is hard. It's a hard game. You're going to die a lot. It's very hard, and you're gonna use up a lot of lives. But I like it. I recommend it. I think it's $25. It may have come down since it came out, 2 months ago. Definitely check it out. Check out the first one. It always goes on sale for like $5 or $7 from time to time on the Xbox Store or on Steam. I don't know what it's going for right now, but just look it up. Just buy them both. So the second game that I played is actually a game it's not new, but it was Firewatch. And it came out some years ago. And it's basically a first-person adventure story game, which I'm normally not into those type of games, but I did get into this one because it had kind of a creepy element to it. Now, it's not a horror. I wouldn't call it a horror game by any means. Really, there's no way to die, but you do make certain choices. You do certain things that lead to, I think, 2 or 3 specific endings. But it involves you being a grown man who goes out to watch fires. And I believe, is it in the 80s? I think it's in like the late 80s or something. Your wife has cancer and she moved to Australia with her parents, so you need something to do. And you are an alcoholic, so you went out to watch some fires, and you end up talking to this lady that's at another fire watch tower across the way from you. I'm not going to ruin it any more than that because I almost did, but check it out. It's on Game Pass right now. I think it's on every system too. PlayStation. It's definitely on Steam. And then obviously I'm going to have to bring up just very quickly SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Rehydrated?
No. Yes, Rehydrated. Sorry. Yes.
It was great.
I'm a huge SpongeBob fan. I don't. As a 33-year-old man, I'm not afraid to admit that. In fact, my entire and MC can attest to this. My entire bathroom is SpongeBob themed.
Yeah.
I have a giant SpongeBob vinyl in my shower. I have little pineapples on the curtains, and I have jellyfish stickers and decals all over the place in there.
But no Patrick is the problem.
No Patrick, but it's coming.
Okay.
So anyways, it's a great game. It's an action platformer kind of game. The rehydrated version, the graphics are a little bit better than the original game. It's easy. It's not easy, but it's an easy game to get into. It's fun to play. Who cares? SpongeBob's great. So last one I'm going to talk about is obviously the one that I've been playing the most over since it's come out, and that's Starfield.
Me too.
Starfield is Fallout 4 in outer space. probably with a bit more problems. But I really like Starfield. I got into it. Started out a little bit slow. I think honestly, the first 20 hours just mindlessly go through it. After 20 hours is when it gets good. Gets really
The
good.
first 20 hours is teaching how to use the interface. That's basically what it is.
The first 20 hours is you stumbling around random planets trying to figure out what you're supposed to do.
That sounds exactly like my experience with that game.
Yeah, but it
But
gets real good
after
after the
20
first
hours
day.
it gets great, and after New Game Plus it gets weird, and it gets weirder and weirder the more New Game Pluses you do, because there is a specific storyline that does stuff like that. But the one thing that I really liked about the game, I liked the weapon play in the game. I thought the weapon play was really good, and I liked adding the dynamic of the ships in. Now I will admit that I think in some future DLCs they've talked about adding some more ships and customizations and stuff like that, so that can get better. But I like the ship battles a lot in that game, and it reminded me of a Star Trek game that I had for, I believe, the PS1. Um,
Well, Bridge Crew?
no, not Bridge Crew. It was Star Trek. Give
It
me a
was the
sec.
Voyager one, wasn't it?
No, that was a first person. Well, yeah, but that's not the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
There was Away Team 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the away team ones. But there was like a Deep Space Nine one.
Was there an elite one? Wait.
so no, there was, but that's for a later one. So this was the one I'm talking about, Star Trek Invasion.
Okay. Yeah, I heard that. I
Um,
heard of that one.
and the whole game was basically you were this smaller ship going around destroying things, and for some reason it really that the ship gameplay clicked in my head and reminded me of that game, which I really enjoyed 20 years ago when it came out. So those are my games of the month. MC, I'm sure you have something to say about uh, Starfield. So
Yeah, I do. To me, it's my game of the year. I think it should be game of the year. I mean, it's multiple games in one. I mean, you can build a ship, you can build a base, you can, run around and kind of play like a first person shooter. You run around, shoot bad guys. You fly ships and do ship battles. I mean, it is like the first 20 hours. I assumed it was basically trying to let you figure out. I mean, they don't tell you nothing. You got to figure out how to use the interface. You got to figure out how to do everything. But after that, once you get to like hour 40 or something, it really starts to get good. There's a lot of great missions in there. There's a lot of great stuff. I think it's really good graphics. To me, it's the most complex game I've ever seen with all the different parts they got in there and everything else. I believe exactly what they say. You can do more than 150 hours in there, no problem. I mean, I know I got over 100 hours right now, and you know,
No.
I'm near the very end of playing it where I go to what's that park called, John? You just mentioned it. I forget the new whatever. But in other words, you finish the game and then you can go on. I'm real close to that, but I'm trying to get enough money to upgrade my ship or buy another ship before I enter that ending part. So, but and the only reason I know the ending part's close is my son told me I'm really close to the end, and he's already beat it and everything else. But I think it's a fabulous game. There's a lot of things to do in there. In fact, I got married, and everything else in the game. So it's kind of, it's
So
kind of cool.
what you guys are saying is that the hour I put into it, I need to put another 39 in before the
You
game
need to
actually gets
put
interesting.
you
yes,
need to put
An MC's life in the game is happier than his life in real life.
no,
Wow.
Just like Skyrim.
that's not true.
Yes.
So in
I
other words,
just got
M2 will
married to
say it's
see
not
that I
my kind of
killed.
game.
So you need to put at least 50 hours in before the game actually becomes fun. I mean, it's true.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. At least for
Well,
me. At least for me. That's not my kind of game, but the game is gorgeous. I will tell you.
it is, and I think they did a good job on it. And
Yeah, it's
everyone,
gorgeous.
I mean, there's not that many glitches in it. There are glitches. There is problems, but it's nothing that hinders the game in any way. I saw, and I'm sure they'll fix all that. And they're going to be making, like, people are going to be able to mod it and everything else. So I don't want to go on. I mean, everybody's been talking about it. It's a really good game. I mean, I haven't played Boulder's Gate, but they're saying it's between them two. Most people were saying so.
Cool.
I'm just hoping it's Starfield, just because I've never seen a game that has so many things you can do. I mean, yes, there's a lot of fast traveling in it, but you don't have to do that. If you want to walk for 8 hours to get to somewhere on a planet, you can do that. But it's just much easier to fast travel. But it's a good game. Let me move on. My next game that I played was Sea of Stars, and all these games I haven't finished. I'm like halfway through them or whatever. Sea of Stars I really like. It's a turn-based RPG. What I like about it is it's the type of turn-based game where if you push a button when the other turn is trying to hit you, if you do it the right moment, you get like bonus points or you don't take as much damage and stuff like that, which actually makes it a little bit more than just a turn-based game. It's got some action to it. So, I'm not real big on turn-based games, but this one I really, really like. The graphics are good. The story seems good so far, so I'm really into that one. I also played Cocoon, which is an Xbox. It's in Game Pass. It's a limbo type game, but it's actually space oriented and kind of science fiction oriented. I'm not real far in it, but what I've seen so far, it's kind of really cool. I really like it. I mean, basically, it's run around and just press A to do different things. It's not real complicated, controls or anything. Very good game. If you like limbo type games, it's a game to play. Um, Also on my PS4, I played Detroit Become Human, which I bought for a while and never played. It's basically kind of like a how do I say it? Kind of like a kind of a VM movie game, but you're kind of like it's kind of like got detective stuff in it. Like the more stuff you do as a detective, the more chance you have of having a good outcome in the story. But it's one of the movie type story games. I really like it. Graphics are really impressive in it, but you'd have to like one of them FMV games or whatever if you're going to like that one. And then my last one, I decided that I played a lot of Sierra games, but I never played Quest for Glory. So I started playing that, and just like all the other Sierra games, I really like it. In fact, I like it better than even King's Quest just because of the point and click adventure type, but they did it really nicely. The text part, the inventory part's done really well, and everything else. So far, what I've done there, I really like that game too. But
Can't be better than Leisure Suit Larry, though.
um, I don't. I just more what I like about Quest for Glory is the interface for it. The way they did it is somewhat better than the other interfaces. I don't know if it was a later game or not because I ain't even sure what year that game came out. But it was just one I never played, and I decided to start playing it, and I really like it. So, I'm not saying Leisure Suit Larry might be better, but this interface is easy to use. It's neat what you can do with it. It's just it was seemed more advanced than all the other interfaces for like all the King's Quest and all the other ones. So maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's just a bad memory. I don't know. But I did like. So. Hey, it's been 30 years since I played one of them games, so
Yeah, same here.
so it's hard to
The
remember. But
old Apple II Plus.
yeah, well, I was always on a PC usually, and that's what I'm playing this one on anyway, my laptop. So, but that's my games. Who's next? Mike.
M2? You want to do it?
Sure, I'll go. So I'd like to preface by saying I have probably 300 to 400 combined hours into 2 or 3 Bethesda games. I could not get into Starfield. It didn't do it for me. Um, that being said, what did it for me that similar vein is Cyberpunk. The new DLC came out. And the number one reason to buy that DLC is not for the content, it is for the skip the prologue that comes with it. So you can skip the 3 hour to 4 hour prologue for $30. It puts you level 15 right after the prologue ends. I was waiting for a mod to do it, but as someone that likes to do different playthroughs and different specs and run different mods and stuff in games, invaluable. So I've been playing a heck of a lot of Cyberpunk. I even shot a bullet in my latest playthrough, and I'm like 6 hours in. Um, so definitely that good. Payday 3. After about 3 weeks of servers not being working for my friend and I, once it started working, we've been enjoying playing that because it's a good turn your brain off game. Same buddy we convinced to buy. It's a little little board game basically called 100% Orange Juice, and it's a little, I guess, anime kind of game. None of us have any idea what's going on in the game, but it's really funny when all of a sudden you're just dead for 6 turns and you don't know what's going on. We checked. I have a 20% win rate in that game, which is the second highest in the friend group, which should say something there. And finally, probably the gem for me for the month was I bought Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, which is a mouthful, but it's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, and it's very reminiscent of the old Game Boy Advance games. And what I mean by that is some of the online Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, you can buy card packs and drop a bunch of money, or you can grind for hours, and that just sucks, right? Especially in a competitive game. Well, Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, you're playing through the show's duels. You can play with your own deck or the deck of either the good guy or the bad guy, and you can do the both duels, both or every duel both ways. And so, as a fan of the show, it's really entertaining. And more importantly, you earn points to buy packs of cards. And so you're not, there's no way to pay to win that game. You have to play, and it's got multiplayer. It's got all the whole shebang. But it is, if you're a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! And you don't really care about buying cards and you'd rather just play it, 100% recommend it. It's not worth $40, which is the normal price tag, but it runs on sale for about 10 every so often. And just to point out, there is Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist and Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. Get Link Evolution because it has all the DLC and some tweaks from the first one. It's technically number 2. But and if you have a Steam Deck, it's probably the best game I've ever played on the Steam Deck. It just runs perfectly. And that's what has been keeping me sane for the last month.
Awesome. Well, I'll bring it home for the group, but I'll start off with one that I'm sure that M2 will have some comments about, and that is our dear NHL 24. Now, I did stick to my word that I did not buy it this year. I am on the 10-hour trial, and so I do have some impressions of it. I'm actually glad I didn't buy it. They've definitely done some upgrades to it this year. There's some changes to it, some in the presentation, some in the interface itself. They've completely changed the hitting in the game. It's totally different. There's still a lot of bugs in it. I don't think any EA sports title is ever bug free, but some, the NHL's always been the one I've played since the Genesis, and it seems like they're less concerned about fixing bugs and more concerned about making changes that people really don't care about. So I'll probably buy it on Black Friday when it goes for $30, just because I do enjoy playing my hockey game. But just some of the presentation issues with it is, regardless of what arena you're in, if you get a hat trick, the fans throw hats down. If Sidney Crosby actually gets a hat trick in Philadelphia, they're not going to throw hats on the ice. EA, they're going to throw other stuff on the ice and they're going to boo. It's the referees are still messed up. It's a fun game. It is nowhere worth the $70 they're asking for the Xbox One X one. M2, do you have anything to add about NHL?
I think I've played just about every hockey game ever made, and I can tell you this is the first game that feels different in about 5 years.
Yeah, I would agree
it
with
plays
that.
different. It's more fun to hit people. The zone pressure is something that's been behind the scenes for years, but tweaked. My only complaint is Be a Pro sucks. Like, that's the mode I like to play, and it's still bad. It's just they haven't touched it. I mean, but they fixed the system hopefully this year. Maybe next year's game will be a little bit better. I'd love to see some modes other than Ultimate Team focused on.
That'd be interesting. So the only other game I've played a little bit of is a game called Stray. It's a game about a cat, which, if anybody knows me, knows I like cats. Most cats like me. M2's cats hates me. But it's a very cute game. It's on sale right now on Xbox Live. At least it was. But it's I've had a lot of fun with it. It's the mechanics of the cat. Somebody was a cat lover. Whoever did it, the cat actually acts like a real cat on the screen. It is a pretty cool game from that standpoint. So, anybody have any comments or anything, or are we? Does it look like we've covered everything that we wanted to cover tonight? Is there any games that we've missed?
No.
I don't know. I think I'm good for this month.
Yeah, me too. I mean, waiting for Sonic.
Yeah,
So-
waiting for Sonic now, and now with Activision and Microsoft, I'm waiting to see, how soon they put the Activision games in there, because I do want to play the Crash Battle game. I just didn't want to pay for it, so
I heard
hopefully that
not
comes
till
in Game
next-
Pass.
Mike, I heard not till next year. Nothing's coming
Yeah, I've
in
heard
till
somebody said January is what
Yeah,
rumor I had
January.
heard.
When they
So
start
right after
putting-
Christmas.
Yeah.
So hey, with that, folks, what do we do? What do we do to end our podcast? What do we do every time?
What do we always say?
What do we always say? Stay
nerdy,
nerdy,
my
my friend.
friend.
Happy trails.